wanted to read you a book. The book that I have for you today is called The Lorax. This is one of my favorite books. So if you can see in the picture, this is the Lorax, and he speaks for the trees. And he wants to take care of the trees when somebody wants to get rid of them. Now, this book can be kind of long, but stick with me. I really want to read it to you. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood. Just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You see, you won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. Oh. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail. And the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. Oh boy. I don't have all those things, but I want to hear the story. Oh, then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole, in his grooveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Down slumps this megalophone, the whisper-mophone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time ago. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. Which one is your favorite? My favorite is do you remember? The yellow ones. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish swimming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. Oh, the trees their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. He's taking everything out. It looks like he's staying. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and knitted at need. Uh-oh, he took a tree and he made one. He made them all on his own. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump. of the tree that I chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said, with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's that thing you've made out of my truffle a tuft? Oh, he's not happy. Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I am being quite useful. This thneed is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, or bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that full thneed. The very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. You poor silly guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. That man bought it. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Be quiet if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, hey, listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch. And in no time at all in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. Oh, look at, they're chopping them all down. I bet that makes the Lorax very sad. That would make me sad. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was so slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffle trees with one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge, oh, of the brown barbaloots, who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffle of fruits. Now, thanks to you and hacking our trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle of fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. Oh, they must be feeling sick, and now they have to leave because they can't eat the food anymore. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad, but as I watched them all go, but, you know, business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. Look at all those barbaloots that have to leave, all of them. It's so many. Look at all that. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Look at all these things. There's more pollution. Look at all the gas in the air. And he's just chopping, chopping, chopping those truffle trees down. Then again, he came back. I was fixing some pipes. Oh, he looks sad and tired. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snarled and he sniffed. Onceler. He cried with a cruffulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smoggleless smoke. Look at all the smoke from the machines. My poor swammy swams, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. Look at the swans. They look sad. They can't swim or fly in the air. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you smogged up around here. I wonder where they're gonna go. Where do you think they're gonna go? I don't know where they're gonna go. What's more, snapped the Lorax. His dander was up. Let me say a few words about this gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night. This big machine, look, it's making a mess, and look at all that yucky stuff. Also, sloppity-slop and gluppity-glup. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. He must not be getting rid of it very well. Wonder where it's all going. Oh my goodness. Look, it's going out this pipe and out into a pond. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap and say bad, bad, bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering. Turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. At that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. Trees? Then no more needs, no more work to be done. So, in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove me away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory. The Lorax, here he is, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad backwards glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants from here. And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. He was not happy. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. Sounds to me like the Onceler might be regretting his choices. But now, says the Onceler, now that you are here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you, that means you guys, cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula. Treat it with care. Give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all his friends may come back. You know, something my son Ben brought up was, you know, you don't get to see the face of the onceler. And I wonder why. Let's think about that for a minute. Why don't you get to see the face of the onceler? And we talked about it for a little bit, and we thought about, you know, when you do something that you're not happy with, because he chopped down all those truffula trees and got rid of the forest and all the animals had to leave. When you do something like that, are you ashamed of it and you don't want anybody to see you? So maybe, you know, when you make a mistake, it's really important to say you're sorry. And I think that's what he's telling the boy at the end of the story, that he's saying he's sorry and that the boy can be a better person and make better choices from the mistakes that the onceler made. So friends, it sounds to me like the Lorax was not very happy with the way the onceler was just chopping down trees. Why do you think he was like that? Why do you think he was so sad? I think one of the reasons is because God asks us to take care of our world, to take care of our earth, because he created it just like he created us. And that was a responsibility he gave us, was to take care of things. So after we read that book, what do you think is something that you could do today that would make you friends with the Lorax? What's something that would help the Lorax and the truffula trees? I miss you guys, and thanks for listening. Have a great day.